XRP is replacing the old financial system. I'll tell you what, the old financial system wasn't built for real-time global commerce. We all know that. Way too many middlemen, way too many delays, too many fragmented networks trying to talk to each other. It's getting, and has been, super complex. And now that entire system is starting to change. Now, we all know Ripple has been onto something. They've been building something. You know what they've been building? Payment rails. Stable coins are scaling globally, and they're getting clarity and recognition on a global scale. Tokenized assets exploded from almost nothing to tens of billions of dollars. And Chip, you love this part. The AI systems are now preparing to move value autonomously. This isn't theory, it's actual infrastructure.
Yeah, I do love that. And I think the part really people are still missing here, and they probably don't fully understand. It's not about XRP trying to become another speculative crypto asset. We're watching now is the settlement infrastructure, stablecoin movement. You got direct crypto to bank settlement, global liquidity rails. That's really what makes up the foundation of a completely different financial system. And today, this morning, this evening, this afternoon, depending where you're coming in from, Ripple payments going live. Clarity Act in momentum. Will it get passed in Washington? RLUSD, XRPL, Flare, and XRPFi, AI payments, tokenized real world assets. You put all this together, it paints a much bigger picture than most people realize. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the OTC community? You know who you are, that one guy over there. Today's conversation is bigger than just XRP price action. I know you guys love the price action, you love the speculation, but we're not going to go there. You know what? Because while regulators are still debating crypto, while speculators are still debating price, the actual infrastructure is quietly being deployed. Ripple payments just expanded settlement rails globally. And as I mentioned before, stablecoins rapidly moving into traditional finance. Say that 10 times fast. Moving into traditional finance. Tokenized assets are exploding. And now AI systems beginning to interact directly with financial networks. Really beyond that, AI is taking over. Meanwhile, Washington is moving towards the Clarity Act, May 14th, to be exact. Some markup, we're going to cover that today. And all of this together paints a much bigger picture than most people realize. Because this is no longer just about crypto speculation for those speculators out there. This is about the next financial system being built in real time. Chip, I'm loving this stuff. I think it's amazing. I think that we're onto something big, and we're growing up. This whole space is growing up. It's growing.
It's grown up.
Getting its
growing up. And to check in with everybody. Rod Hale's coming in. We got Chad coming in. We've got Dazzle Ford Big from UK. Yeah, we got a big up here. We're going to get into the UK action later today. There's some great news coming out of the UK.
Great stuff in the UK.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about it. Go Z-Back. And then we've got good morning from Punta Gorda. El Jefe's coming in here. There we go. Beautiful. And let's start off with the story here. So let's get to it right away. News, Brendan Peterson put this out. The Senate Banking Committee has noticed a markup for Thursday, May 14th. Jeff, what is that? Is that Tuesday?
Man, it's 5 days away.
Yeah, it's 5 days away. My God, that's fantastic. To advance the major crypto market structure legislation. According to two sources familiar with the announcement, those words always scare me. Two sources familiar. They always say somebody familiar with the announcement, familiar with the actions. Move sets up a titanic week for the global industry as well as banks. We got this one. Ellie Terra put this out. She said same kind of thing, because here it is right here. Chairman Scott announced the committee schedule for the week. And you can see right there, Thursday, May 14th, you got full committee executive session. Consider of HR 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, 10:30. We'll start, hopefully see some action on that. I know there's been a lot of back and forth negotiations on this, Jeff. We know the major I think the sort of key issue that you had the Democrats sticking up for the banks. The banks don't have a good business plan. They don't want basically money being going off out of the banks, the outflows out of the banks into crypto exchanges, because they want to decide how much they can pay you They don't want you getting yield. They don't want you getting 6, 7, 8, 10% yield on your money. No. They think you should have 0.25%, and they should trade on the backside and make 4 to 4.25 on your money. So that's really what this has been largely about, and this whole thing. So Stu Alderati from Ripple chimed in and said the Senate Banking Committee Clarity Act, May 14th, hard-earned milestone. Right. Let's not get crazy yet, Jeff. Nothing's been earned yet. I don't know how this is going to go, to be honest with you.
Nothing's been done yet. The markup hasn't finished.
Well, he's right about that. It does have a narrow window, Jeff. I mean, if you think about it, it does have a very narrow window because of the recesses and all the stuff coming up. Plus, you got the midterms, and we know traditionally things don't get really passed before the midterms. But we'll see what ends up happening here. But I mean, what is your thought? Do you think we're going to see some good news coming out of these that markup session? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm concerned. I am concerned, but I do think there's going to be some direct positives. I think that being that they're sending it back, it's got to go. The issue is that sitting in the Senate, it's going to get marked up, get sent back to the Congress or to the House. But the House passed it along to the Senate. So I think concerned about what the Senate does, but optimistic about the outcome because they'll mark it up, send it back, and I think it's going to go back relatively unscathed, relatively unchanged. Maybe it'll go more positive. Let's be optimistically concerned.
Yeah, optimistic, but given the way Congress works and the things that can happen, I'm kind of in the same boat. I
flush it down the toilet.
Positive come out of that, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. I'll be honest, I don't know. But great news. This is a great development here. The XRP Ledger Foundation, meet the new foundation team. I think there's some really great appointments here. One of them we already knew about, and I think they're going to make a huge impact. And again, the XRP Ledger Foundation exists to support the XRP Ledger and everyone shaping it. So today we announced the new team driving that work day to day, people you'll be hearing from, building with, and running into events throughout the year. We already know about Brett Mullen.
Right.
Fortunate enough to be on a Zowdow space with Brett. Brett was one of our guests that came in, and he's leading the foundation, and he sets the strategic direction. He's working with the board on long-term priorities, making sure that everything's working the way it should, engineering, community, everything. So, and he's spent
going on in that.
12 years at Ripple, so he's no stranger to the XRPL, knows it inside and out. Another great appointment here, Dennis Angel. If you guys know that name, Dennis has been instrumental on updates to the XRPL. I mean, his fingerprints are basically all over it, so it's nothing new. Everybody knows Dennis. He's one of the more prolific contributors to the XRPL code base, and he's been working with the protocol for years. And he transitioned from XRPL Labs to XRPLF Foundation, where he'll lead the engineering, the technical direction. God, what a great appointment this is. It's really, we're starting to see the people who can move the needle showing up. You got people like Brett Mullen, who is I've already loved his direction. I've already loved, hey, it's on me. I'm going to make this happen. Like taking ownership right out of the gate. Someone like a Dennis Angel, who's been around. Gosh, I remember one of the earliest names I got to know in the space in 2018 was Dennis Angel. He's just a phenomenal guy. And then here's probably my favorite appointment right here. The next one up, I don't know Renee, but I know the next one. So Renee is going to be the director of operations. He's the one who's going to keep the foundation running, handles the financial coordination across the entity. He worked for many years at Ripple. He was the director of payment operations. He was also part of the Bank for International Settlements, cross-border payments, interoperability. Again, these people you're talking about living and breathing the XRPL every single day. Another phenomenal appointment, 2 ex-Ripplers, running. One is really running point on the direction and what's happening. The other one's running basically the financial side of it, and came from Ripple as director of payment of operations, understands payments. So finally, Jeff, and then of course my favorite one, Vet. Everybody knows Vet in the community. He's a director of community. He'll be leading it at the XRPLF, the ecosystem, storytelling, the comms, the social presence, validator development, engagement, contributions. I mean, Vet is everywhere. I got to know Vet because he was one of the original founders of the XRP Cafe. So early days when Jeff and I were working through and they were really kind to us too, Jeff. Vet, they would host would host spaces. They had us on very early to help us talk about our badass Yetis and the project. But I've come to know Vet over the years. He's hosted a lot of cool X spaces. He's pretty much a fixture on the Zaodao weekly powwow that Jenna and I do every week to kind of get the word out about that. And I just think these are great appointments. I'm really excited about it and real happy for Vet too, who I just found out his real name is Hussein Zingana. I never knew his name. I never knew his first name, but obviously for this role, you're going to be living into your first role. But everybody knows him around the internet as Vet, and he also does a podcast with Krypton Writer, which is a phenomenal podcast. These guys put out some of the best, I would say, technological ecosystem type news where it's real hardcore focused on XRPL. And that is a phenomenal podcast that if you guys ever subscribe to that and really want to get deep in the weeds, that's a good one. He was on there yesterday, Jeff, talking about this appointment. So they did this was a official announcement by the XRPF. What do you think about this? I mean, this seems to be moving the XRPFL Foundation in the right direction.
I think I do believe that as we see progress like this, you get individuals that have some solid background taking over. We need that. We need community development, community progress. That's what it's going to take. Up to now, it's been relatively stagnant. The other communities, we've talked about this so many times. XRP is a laggard in the space, hands down. Hopefully it's not too little too late. That's always my biggest concern, where all the big developers are everywhere else except for this space, so, and most of the attention is there, but I'm very optimistic. Why? Because the XRPL has the best technology out of any other stack. The other stacks have got the focus, they've got the attention, they have the community. What I would love to see, though, is to take the XRP community, and I want to see a couple $1 million easy throwing behind it, maybe a couple tens of millions throwing behind the community and say, hey, we're here. And there were some big promises made early on. There was a lot of money for development that was meant for community promotion. I think that has to happen, and it can't trickle. It has to happen fast at this point. Let's see it scale. Imagine all the money at that at the XRP Vegas conference, all the money that was spent on the billboards and the screens. I don't know what that number is, but imagine right now if you had that kind of engagement coming from the XRPL community.
That focus,
right? I want to see more of that. I want to.
Well, that is happening.
Huge amounts of money pouring in.
I mean, based on the post that Ripple put up, they're sort of decentralizing how they're giving money out. Zaodao is a big part of that. Zaodao sits on the board, so there is a lot of this. I love stuff like this. This is great right here. So, Mike says here, he says, I believe you boys are delusional. XRP has no real use case other than helping people like you profit.
No use case, really?
Well, this is what's great. It's like, well, Jeff, I only wish this was true. Like, I honestly, I would like Mike to be 100% right that we would profiting from clicks and views. To the point of where I'm like, look, either you guys start, chipping in and start making this channel happen. Because I always told Jeff, if we're coming out of pocket to do this, we have software we have to use, we have things that we use for thumbnail, all the stuff that we use. We're not coming out of profit. We're coming out of pocket. And I wish there were profits. Mike, I wish you were correct, because if you see what this channel makes, it basically covers the keeping the lights on, and taking money. There is no profit. You guys do the math. You can look at the views. You can do the math on what the thing is. I mean, it makes what, $60 to $80 on a monthly basis. I mean, we're that razor thin on just making sure that the software gets covered, and sometimes it's 80 or 90, but it's nothing. It's not like these other channels are pulling in, 3, 6, 10, 15 grand a month. Man, Mike, I would love you to be real. And then when I would do even more delusional stuff, I might join
definitely do all the delusional.
I would join the nut job and say it's the next world reserve currency.
And that's how they do it. And that's where Mike's 100% spot on with that.
100%.
And that's all they talk about, and I think that's the misnomer. And what Mike's talking about is that because of the fact that you have all these YouTube fanboys out there talking about XRP as the next reserve currency, XRP is replacing the entire financial ecosystem, XRP replacing the US dollar. XRP going to 589. XRP, it's enough already,
Well,
and so that's where Mike is right, but that's what people want.
that's
And
what they want.
it's obvious, because why? Because they're all speculators. They're all they care about is, am I going to make money tomorrow, not long term. They're not thinking about develop. Anytime we have a CEO of a project that comes on, lowest views. And that's across the board. That's not just us. That's everybody, right? They have the lowest. When they talk hype, then their numbers are high. And you know who the hypesters are out there. You guys all know who they are, and they people love the hype. They love the fake news. They love all the speculative drawing lines to secret documents and stuff like that, because that stuff doesn't exist. But what we talk about and promote, and which is the excitement of the community and why people gather here, with us 3 times a week, is the fact that we talk truth, honest, and we focus on the development side and everything else. There's a lot that goes to it, a lot that goes into it, and we have the best community and the smartest people. So
that's true. And
that's
also
just
too,
what
I
it is.
think
But
I also think when you're outside looking in, you conflate the XRPL, which is the very world's first DAX. I mean, everybody else came after. It was the only decentralized exchange, right? And what it can do natively and what it can do. So I think sometimes there's like that, and the XRP, what XRP actually does. And I think that when you kind of like conflate the two, you're kind of missing the bigger point. What we're talking about is building on the XRPL. We're talking about building real world solutions, and native stuff. There's a lot of tokenization that's happening right now. Some successful tests have been run. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. We cover it from that perspective, and we also do geopolitics because it's all tied together. And look at that, El Jefe right there.
El
Boom.
Jefe.
Big banger right
Big
there.
football.
Mike is
Look
stoned.
at that. That's
This
gonna
is to
keep
help
the
with the
bills
light
on,
bills.
right?
Go XRP. Thank you for that, LFA. That's huge indeed. So yeah, keep those comments coming, Mike. It seems to be working well. Keeps to be working pretty well. Keep some other negative comment. And again, that's the other thing about this. You'll see about
Mike
this live
wasn't a
stream
plant.
is we'll address that. Like we get people that disagree, and that's what this show's about. It's not about being 100% in the tank. And Jeff, how often do we have people that have different takes? We put them up, we talk about them. That's what makes this a great show. Generated by two parts of this: what we're doing, and then the comments and what people are saying. And again, they're coming from a great place. And man, we have people that you don't have to agree with us, and you can have your own counter opinion. Certainly it does. And sometimes we go off on it, but that's the fun of watching. But I do appreciate the comment, and I do appreciate that, you are pretty much 100% spot on with a lot of that. Good morning. But I will tell you, I wish what you were spot on about is us crushing it with views and making money. Jeff, how much would you love to take even $1,000 a week out of this show, or a month? I would be like, okay, I'll do it.
That'd be great.
We do it because we love doing the show. The show doesn't make any money. Good. I wish it did. We're not successful in that regard. Good morning, OGs. People love to feel good and need validation. 100%. I always, something that's stuck in my mind. I got a good buddy in the UK who he said to me, when I was over there visiting one time, I said, dude, it kills me to see all these American shitty like none of the good parts of America, like great restaurants. No, you don't see them over. You see crappy ass McDonald's and Starbucks. And I go, I hate seeing that. He goes, you know why they're here, don't you? He goes, there's no shortage of people that line up for it, and that was the whole thing. It's like people want it. People want to be amazed. They want to be misled. They want to be, it's the global currency. I see so much bad news on X every single day that I have to laugh at. I have to go correct because they go, did you see what just happened? I'm like, yeah, nothing. And you're going to make something out of nothing. So there's a lot of truth to what you're saying there. Payday will come for you guys. Yeah, well, from your lips to God's ears, man, because the 6 years we've been doing this show, there hasn't been a payday yet. And even my wife says to me, she goes, why do you continue to do it? You don't make any money doing it. I said, because we love it. It gives us an outlet. It gives Jeff and I an outlet. And Jeff and I are friends too. Like Jeff and I were on a call yesterday for about 45 minutes. And all we talk about these days is AI, because we're both leveraging it. We're both doing cool things, and we share like wins and what's happening and ideas and stuff like that. We even had some AI stories, and I'm like, I don't think you guys are ready for this. It's a little too deep. But Jeff and I are so man,
Chip's like, why are there AI stories in our
because that's all we talk about
AI in there? Like,
behind the scenes.
That was cool stuff.
It is cool stuff, man. I mean, but that's all we basically talk about. But I'm liking AI and vibe coding right now to like video games. I'm like, the other night I was like, okay, And I've said to Claude Code, I'm like, I think I'm going to call it a night. Yeah, you've accomplished all this today, but what's left to do? Well, we could finish this one screen because I'm vibe coding an app. And it's like, oh, really? It's like, yeah, we have this one screen. It should go pretty fast. I'm like, all right, let's do it. It was like one more level, one more kill, one more of this, one more unlock, one more, it was like a video game. It's like you always like the one, and then 2 hours later, you're like, oh crap, it's 1 a.m. I haven't gone to bed. I'm sitting here vibe coding and I'm like, oh my God. And it's a lot of fun. But man, we appreciate stuff like this. El Jefe, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Moving right along. We appreciate you, man. Yeah, especially you've been here since the beginning.
Sure.
I've seen, Jeff, there's just so much cool stuff that I'm seeing. Like, you can't post all the good news. Look at this. Trust link. Huh?
You boys are delusional.
Oh, there you go. Or delusional. You boys are delusional. Turn that into a soundbite. That
You
made our
boys
soundboard.
are delusional.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mike. That's Mike's voice. That's why I picture Mike's voice.
That's Mike's voice.
You boys, that's great.
You
Thanks,
boys
Mike.
are delusional.
Apparently we are. Like my wife says, we do the show 3 days a week. The show prep that Jeff and I put into and all this stuff for what? Because we like doing this show.
No, hang on. I've got one more for you.
I will say Mike is 100 totally delusional.
We are delusional. Here you go, Chip.
I only drink badassery coffee.
Get a bigger cup, buddy. Get a bigger bag of badassery coffee. Badassery coffee. Drink badassery coffee.
Badassery.
Yeah, we do sell coffee, but again, it usually just pays for the website and some of the other things. We do sell it, but again, it's like it's not.
And there's the QR code, Chip, right there.
Yeah, you want to buy some badassery? You want to buy some badassery coffee? Yeah, we do stuff like this. This is how we try to to supplement the show. But again, we're not. I wouldn't say we're killing it, man. But the other cool thing is we got this here, things like this.
$5 for a latte. Half of that feeds some hipster's avocado toast habit. Quit financing coffee fads you don't need. It's time to rebel. Your badass great-grandpa had only one tin cup and brewed his coffee over an open fire. We roast to order, ship free, and keep every bean bold enough to wake the dead. Or at least your 9 a.m. meeting. We make coffee that punches Mondays in the face. Badassery coffee. Fresh, fierce, and great. Roasted fresh, shipped free. Chaos pending. Order now at badasserycoffee.com. Badasserycoffee.com.
It is good coffee, though, Mike. If you want to go ahead and pony up some money for it, you can go ahead and do it.
And there you go, Mike. So Jim D is saying, my AI and I are quite a team. I found out that AI large language models use a hidden watermark, digital fingerprint into the word rhythms and AI text it writes for you. There's a symbol rhythm. There's also kind of, it's becoming very recognizable when you see artwork or you see, not artwork, but if you see like
video
images or, a video specific, or if you see an infographic, that's what I was trying to think. Everybody's infographics are following a very similar format now, and it's across the board. And it's amazing to me. Some of them look good, but then now you see everyone has the exact same format and it's taken away from it.
It is, but also too, I think too, that if you have it study the way you write and the things that you write, it can mimic your writing.
Yeah.
And AI is never, you don't just copy and paste it. You got to iterate it. You got to clean it up. It's never like, oh, that's exactly what I was looking for, but it can learn over time how you write, and it can learn your voice. But if you just do generic stuff that I see all the time, I'm like, ugh, it's horrible. But that's a good point. TrustLink put this out. We added Ripple payments to our settlement stack. So now you can do direct crypto to fiat settlement from self-custodial stablecoin wallets to recipient bank accounts. 170 plus countries, 80 plus currencies, no exchange, no off-ramp, no sender side bank account. That's live today. So that's moving in the right direction. Chandler Fang. Now here's another ex-Rippler making waves. Chandler Fang was once he was a product lead over at Ripple. Now he's running co-founder of T54 AI, which is a really cool project here. He's also ex-Onyx, which is JP Morgan. But he says here, the XRP ledger is uniquely positioned for the agentic economy. AI agents won't wait on banks, cards, or human approval. They pay APIs, they settle invoices, they manage treasuries and move value globally in real time. that requires fast settlement, low predictable fees, 24/7 uptime, auditability, and stable pricing. The XRPL already has primitives, XRP for value movement, you have RLUSD for stable commerce, and the X402 for agent native payments. And that's the new protocol that we've talked an awful lot about. And at T54AI, we built a layer that lets autonomous agents transact on these rails safely. Identity, risk, programmable credit, and liability. We also launched the X402 facilitator to settle all these agent payments natively on the XRPL. Most chains treat payments as a use case, while XRPL was built around payments as the core primitive. That difference matters as agents start moving real economic value. And again, it is huge. He's commented on this post by Ripple, meaningful step towards 24/7 global financial markets. So again, we're seeing a lot of amazing movement in that direction. And I think T54AI is a really awesome project, and wish, Jeff, we had thought of that, because
we could. It's amazing. And World One's saying Brad has been hinting at AI lately. To me, you think about everyone's been talking about the new financial infrastructure, but over all these years, all the YouTube fanboys are talking about the replacement of the financial. Nobody forecasted an AI financial infrastructure. And there's no other chain that is situated perfectly to be the rails for the AI infrastructure. Forget about all the global stuff, right? The impact that the Ripple solution for cross-border payment movement is having to compete with Swift. Yeah, all that stuff is happening. Replacement of actual financial infrastructure in terms of like the reserve currencies and things like that, probably not going to happen. The rails, yes, will help simplify. Will have a competitive edge, and there'll be competition. Nobody forecasted the AI need for financial infrastructure. That to me is super, super impressive. And that is a whole new path, because AI agents have to pay, they have to collect. There's all these things they have to do. And man, you can't do that with traditional finance.
No.
You can't say, here's my credit card. It's going to be too slow, laggy. There's going to be too many approvals. Do this, and you can the programmability of it. And it's not even stablecoin at this point. They don't want to use stablecoin. They need something else behind the infrastructure that is more, digital for them, for the AI. That's where I think, the XRPL, it's a stablecoin, maybe it's the XRP, whatever it is, but the AI, they need this payment rail.
Yeah, Worldwood has a good point here. He says, I love the XRPL, but I think HBAR is amazing too. A few companies out there in Ripple and XRPL need more than one system networks to help them bridge it all. That's 100% spot on. And this is the way you should think. You should be into multiple assets. I love SUI. I think SUI is an amazing asset as well. It's not financial advice. I'm just saying, I love a lot what's going on. I own a lot of HBAR too. I think a lot of this stuff is fantastic. And I think that solving problems, we're starting to see this interoperability, which is a necessary one you're talking about here, Whirlwind. This is very good. So I think that's a really good one. We're going to have to cut Laurel a break. She's in late, Jeff.
Oh, Laurel's late. Come on now.
It's all right.
Chip, I'm a SHIB maxi. I still believe that.
Good for you, dude. SHIB maxi. SHIB maxi. I'm still a Bitcoin guy. I still think Bitcoin's great. I just wish I wouldn't have sold all mine at $800, but who knew, right? I mean, fun stories to tell your grandkids, I guess. Here we go, right here.
$100 Bitcoin when it was $10, and then I sold it all.
And I still love this positioning by, if you don't know A16Z, it's basically Andreessen Horowitz, but you're not going to be at Andreessen Horowitz. First of all, it doesn't fit. You only have so many characters. But if you take Andreessen Horowitz and spell it out, and you take the Z, A and the Z, there's 16 characters between it. That's where A16Z came from. Guys, in case you guys wanted to know.
Where did it come from?
Andreessen Horowitz. If you put Andreessen Horowitz, you spell it out. Obviously, it's too long to fit as a handle. So what they did was they took the first letter, A, the next 16 characters, and then Z. So that's how they created A16Z. It's Andreessen Horowitz. So Andreessen Horowitz crypto, or A16Z as they're known. You didn't know that, did you, Jeff? See?
I had no idea. I love that.
The real information I should be storing in this brain should be for good stuff, not for trivial, dumb, stupid stuff like this, but this is the stuff that stays there because maybe it's interesting. But they had this. They did this podcast, and it was Chris Dixon, it was Aliyah, it was Eddie Lazarin, Guy Wallet. These people that are pretty, well known and followed in the industry. And what I like that they did is like it's an hour long, right? I'm not going to watch the whole thing. So what they did was they broke it down into some notes, and I think every podcast should do this because at least you get the gist of it. Number one, they said successful founders in the next era will be product focused, go to market focused, and pragmatic rather than ideological, right? Ideological. So it says the goal: get 1 billion people on chain through stocks, bonds, stable coins, and remittances. Once they're onboarded to the infrastructure, adjacent services can follow naturally. We've been talking about that for years. We don't have a global financial network, Jeff. Sounds what you just said recently. We have a patchwork of small networks glued together. That's what Worldview is just saying, by humans and legacy processes. You have stable coins are global from day one. WhatsApp money, moment for money. Stable coins are leading crypto's mainstream traction, 300 billion issued, transaction volume approaching major payment. So this is what they talked about, but I love that they summed it up. The Genius Act gave stable coins a regulatory framework and unlocked builder energy overnight. The Clarity Act could do the same for the rest of crypto. And that's why everyone's so excited about it, because it will erupt and launch like a rocket ship. 6, crypto's winning the revolution. Now it's time to govern. That means working with the system, not overthrowing it, right? I mean, this is 100% spot on.
Where the fanboys have it wrong. They think we're overthrowing the system.
Right.
But that was the premise of Bitcoin. No, we're going to replace all the banks. Then they realized they weren't. Then they realized no one's going to use Bitcoin to buy stuff, and became a store of value. Okay, great. But same thing with XRP. The incongruity of reality and their dream world, from a speculative perspective, that XRP was replacing everything, which we just know isn't the case. But you have to join the structure. Eventually, the structure has to modernize. We know it. The future is great. That's why now talking about the AI you just mentioned and what it needs for its own internal rails, you have to be able to progress. And then to the point of Whirlwind again, you brought it up as well. But we can't operate in a silo. There's great technologies that are out there, and Flare is the one that has been, had the foresight to start building around, multiple chains and incorporating instead of having silos. So there's going to be a lot more of that moving forward. That's why Bitcoin's important. That's why XRP is important. That's why HBAR is important. That's why across the board there's a lot of significance to all this. Not to detract from these 10 points here.
Yeah, well said. And I think this stuff's spot on. I think that obviously, A16Z does an awful lot of investing. They're a VC, they're venture capital. And here's another one, Jeff, we just talked about. The growing share of transactions, potentially the majority, are going to be done by AI agents, not humans. So if you tell one to save you money or your monthly spending bill, it's going to do whatever software does that, and it won't care about what gets disintermediated. What an interesting word, disintermediated.
Oh, say that again.
Disintermediated. I don't know if I've ever said that word, but I love it.
Never use that word. What exactly? Well, how would that reference it? I don't care what gets disintermediated. I've never used that word before.
I never have either, but basically what it's saying there is that it's not going to choose winner. It's going to do whatever the best path is going to be, right? You're not going to have any sort of mediation. It's a weird way to put it out there, but yeah, it's not
disintermediated. Let's get an actual definition of
intermediated, disintermediated. So, and I'll move on while you grab that. You cannot vibe code USDC or Hyperliquid. Network effects businesses are the one thing model companies can't easily replicate. Yes, that's true because of what happens on the back end, but I don't think it's necessarily untrue about the code part of it. I think that can. And again, the whole idea of vibe coding, the guy that coined it is even walking it back, because what vibe coding was originally is moved way beyond that. And if you look at companies like Anthropic and OpenAI, most of the work being done in coding that produces the next releases is done by AI. So it's AI creating the next pieces of releases. That's how Anthropic is shipping features so fast. But it wasn't until December that it finally got over the hump of being able to do stuff without the human interaction, but it still does need human interaction here and there. Privacy may be the most durable moat in crypto. Once an application state is encrypted, it can't trivially be forked to another chain. switching costs returns. And then finally, if every human on earth gains access to dollar-denominated stablecoin powered account, that alone would be generational upgrade to the global financial system. And really, stablecoins, again, nobody, when they first came out, people didn't get it, but now, and it's the reason that Ripple got in the game with RLUSD. Jeff, did you pull a definition on that?
I did. So it's an economic definition for, as you kind of already hinted at, intermediaries, right? So you have an intermediary between producers and consumers, and the disintermediation or disintermediate would reduce or eliminate the use of intermediaries between producers and consumers. Past tense would be disintermediated. So it reduces or eliminates completely the role of the intermediary. So some examples would be mobile-based services threaten to disintermediate banks from consumer spending transactions, or
cuts out the middleman.
It cuts out the middleman. Yeah, the internet is potentially the greatest force for disintermediation the banks have ever had to tackle. So throughout Europe, governments are anticipating a devastation of the retail sector workforce caused by disintermediation, the elimination of the middleman. So this is AI is also disintermediary area.
Say it one time, Jeff, not three times.
You can't even say it once.
I'm gonna just casually drop that into I'm gonna be talking to somebody and I'd be like, I'll just totally like segue into like, the disintermediation that we're facing when it comes to crypto. I'd be like, what? Like, boom.
Exactly.
And then I'll laugh to myself. Look at this. Jim D says it makes perfect sense for a global digital currency system to have diversity in technology, algorithms in case one has a single point of failure not discovered until some strange confluence of events. That is very well said, Jim D. So again, why we have the best audience in crypto and why the XRPL community is phenomenal.
And the Gets says crypto tokenization soft launch July 13, 2026. Maybe that's good enough news for price movement. Here we go. We got all sorts of.
Well, the things that should be good for price movement, it really ought to move the needle. I always worry. It's like some great news comes out and it's like you see a little bit of a tank. I'm like, how can this be? It's like this is the greatest thing to ever happen. Like, how does I hope you're right about that. We're not going to get into this whole thing, but Flare put out a really banger of an article, XRPFi, the next phase. And they talk about, XRPFi began with a question: what happens when XRP, one of the most widely held assets in crypto, can actually move the programmable finance? And FXRP answered it. So by bringing XRP into Flare as active capital, turned a held asset into one that can be deployed, lent, staked, traded, uses collateral, and routed into vault strategies. 200 million in XRP total value, anchoring a 440 million ecosystem. Some great graphics here, but it's a really good article. We don't have time to hit it all, but again, it's fantastic. Next phase,
there you go.
The three unlock, more vault choice, assets, V1 versus for direct minting and direct front end with Flare smart accounts. And man, Flare is really doing some amazing things, and we will be getting Hugo on here soon.
Hugo, where are you?
Hugo, where are you? I've reached out to him and he's like, yeah, Chip, I'll definitely come on the show. So we're just trying to work that
Hugo.
out.
We're waiting.
Gotta work it out. He's over in the UK, so we have to figure out where.
It'll be a Saturday morning.
Probably be a Saturday, sure.
Yeah. Here's the thing. As we look at with Flare and some of the other architectures, it's still too front end tech heavy, right? So most individuals in mainstream are not going to engage in moving and wrapping and doing all this stuff. It's way too tech heavy. There's no simplified mechanism to go in for someone who is not tech savvy, which is the majority of the world. So in order to really get people involved, we have to simplify. It has to be as easy as going to an ATM. It has to be as easy as starting a car. It has to be as easy as picking up a phone and dialing a phone number. A lot of people out there are still intimidated by phones because of all the apps, and they're trying to navigate the apps and they don't understand that concept, which is amazing to me. But that's the world that we live in. People aren't there yet 100%. And so what's interesting now with the adoption of AI, imagine AI as the intermediary between us and a Flare for the programmability of it. You have your program, you have your easy to use solution. AI goes out, automatically does everything in the background for you, wrapping, moving, transacting, helping with the program ability of the smart contract, just everything. What do you want to do? I want to send ship money, and I want to make sure that I get my goods shipped
I'm waiting for it, Jeff. Go ahead.
I pay you, and I'm sending that $100 over to you now, Chip.
Send it.
And then AI does the rest, right? In the back end, it's already wrapping, moving, doing it simplified, using all the available technology. And now the reality is all that can happen. And you don't need, and it can seek out the best methodology and transaction. So imagine like Ripple, in order to move the cross-border payments, was using a third-party transaction to take your USD, convert it to XRP, move it, to the next bank, and then put it back into British pounds, as an example.
Yes,
through that process. But now imagine if AI takes it and is looking for, okay, I need to move it, and I want to use an FXRP. I want to use XRP Direct, whatever that transactional solution is going to be. AI seeks it out, figures out the best process, and boom, now it's done.
100%,
and that's
man.
where AI comes in. And it's
I love that, Jeff. Your agent will talk to my agent, and they'll do lunch. They'll talk to each other.
That's
you give me
it.
your AI agent phone number, my agent phone number,
and that's all you have. That's all you need.
That's all you need, man.
Agent.
Yeah, Jeff and I are building agents. Man, we're just having so much fun. I mean, it's amazing times. Amazing times. I love this comment right here. This is the Get Says Ray. I'm thinking 3:16 is John 3:16. You can confirm that for me, but I'm thinking John 3:16, biblical scripture, but not. Let me know if that's what it is. What goes in 3:16? The Gets Say Ray says, I'm saving up for land for our children, not college funds. We're going to have businesses for them to run on their own instead of sending the blue-haired, hairy, psychotic feminist professors. I love this. And speaking of blue hairs, we got a blue-haired congresswoman who might be dumber than a box of rocks. And box of rocks pretty dumb, but I'm thinking it might be even worse than that. We got some crazy ones. But I love what you're saying. This is a phenomenal spot on here. Here we go right here. Whirlwind, you want to know the whole movement's issue? UI is bad, like really bad. No one has interest in things that look confusing. Yes, you are right about that. And if really anybody, bad. If one more person builds a dark mode site, I'm punching them in the face. Okay, everything's dark. You got dark. I'm like, they would print books with black paper with white type if it really worked well, if it was great. So all these people, these coders,
AI does it too. AI does it all the time.
I'm like, no. And I have that built. I have it built into memory. Do not put dark white type.
Regardless,
do not use dark mode for anything. Oh no!
And it delivers dark with gray text. It drives me crazy. I'm like, why would you even do that? And then I code it in there. I'm like, okay, no more dark. I don't care. A dark box.
You gotta say to commit it to memory.
White. Yeah,
I have all these. I have restrictions in my .md file, so I just put restriction. I have a whole restriction area, and I'm like. And the other part is orphans. It's phenomenal with putting orphans. If you have type, you're building something. An orphan is when it has just one word on the next line. You want at least 2 or 3 words on the next line. And I'm like, no orphans. It still puts orphans. So sometimes you can't get away with it. Remember, with crypto is 6, 7, 8 steps, and now it's 3, 4 steps, and that's too difficult for most normies out there. Right, it is, but that's why I said banks. Listen, banks have the biggest opportunity in the history. You can say, like, you don't know about crypto? You just click a button, and then we custody it for you, institutional custody. You click a button, then they make a fee on it, right? So they make a fee. They keep the people, the normies who can't figure stuff out. And believe me, it's complicated. Jeff, how many people have you helped that want to pull my hair out and gouge my eyes out? It's
so crazy. It's crazy as you struggle through it yourself, trying to figure stuff out. But Freddie Cat says it needs to be as simple as sending an email. I think it needs to be as simple as a text message. I think we need to go even. We got to.
Well, it will be. If you have an agent, buy me crypto. Let's go do it.
Right.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. She says, Get says, I don't think that's a woman at the blue hair in Congress. She's a man, baby. Fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. Oh, wow.
It's scary. Very
scary.
Scary.
John 3:16 is something I could never have done. I have 2 girls, 1 son. I couldn't give any of them for this fallen, wicked generation. Okay, there you go. Fantastic. All right. Let's go to I want to go to this last piece right here, this Ellie Tarrant piece right here. This drives me insane, Jeff, because when Gary Gensler was making up shit out of thin air, people were mad. But now that your guy's doing it and it's positive, everyone's like, yeah, even the smart people who understand how legislation works and how these government agency works still can't get it right. And it drives me crazy. I know Ellie must be sick of me posting it always on her thing, but she said, in remarks given at an event today, SEC Chair Paul Atkins, he laid out the handful of areas where agencies considering modernizing securities rules for on-chain markets, including potential rulemakings around what qualifies an exchange, broker, and clearinghouse, blah, blah, blah. But one thing he did say, and it's kind of like buried in here, he did talk about the idea of how important clarity is. And the reason is that, of course, I said, the SEC cannot create new crypto legislation. Only Congress can do this. At most, the SEC can clarify how existing security laws apply within authority Congress already granted. Chevron, we talk about Chevron being overthrown. Chevron being overturned reinforced that agencies don't have to get that stretch of vague statutes into power. And this is the whole reason, guys, why clarity matters. This Paul Atkins, I love the guy. I love how ambitious he is. But dude, you're making shit out of thin air. It's not in the 1934 securities. It's not in the 1947 Howie. It's not. None of this stuff mentions crypto. None of it's around crypto. That's why the Clarity Act updates that and becomes the new standard. I love you're trying to do that, but again, the whole Chevron was overturning agencies, taking vague garbage out of Congress and turning it into rulemaking, and it was finally overturned, rightfully so, by the Supreme Court. And Chevron is what I always default to, is because people just can't wake up and smell it anymore, Jeff. But getting into I'm starting to really wonder what's going on with the left mind woke virus here, because they are getting dumber, Jeff. And in what's really troubling is they just spout the most insane, ridiculous stuff, and they believe it. And people believe, they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I see this stuff on X to the left, and I'm like, they don't even have reasoning powers. They don't have any logic skills. I can't read something and understand it. Like Dollar Store Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, or Timu Obama, whichever you prefer. The Virginia ruling overturned by the Virginia Supreme Court, he couldn't even read the ruling. Like, he's like, this will not stand. I'm like, did you spend 5 minutes reading? Did you just copy and paste an AI and say, tell me what this says? Because I'm a moron. I can't understand it. Jeff, I mean, AOC, maybe, I mean, when AOC was, it was a couple years ago, Amazon wanted to build a center in New York City, right outside of New York City. They were going to create 60 to 70,000 new jobs. Jeff Bezos is a raging liberal. And she started complaining that they were getting tax breaks and it wasn't right and blah, blah, blah. Amazon got pissed. I forgot where they put it, but they put it in a different state. 60 to 70,000 jobs. You know what's 60 to 70,000 jobs? People paying tax, a lot of those high paying jobs, taxes, even the tax break they were getting on the center. Yeah, you have to. And who wants to go to New York without a tax break? All they do is raise taxes there. So she went that. And then we just saw Mandami chase away Citadel. Citadel said, screw you. We're not, why would we build, 8,000-9,000 jobs are going to high paying jobs. We'll go to Miami. No state tax. People are going to love it. You get an instant, in the city, you're paying 10 to 12% personal tax. Come to Florida. We have zero tax.
Zero
it's insane,
sales.
Jeff. It really is insane.
So it's amazing to me that in New York, they didn't learn the lesson of Citadel in Chicago. They left Chicago for New York.
Right, exactly.
Now, they're about to build this massive project. And the project itself, to build the building, would have hired thousands of on the construction side, right? I mean, there was like all these things going on over there. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. We're done. We're leaving, because of that. And now it's all plotted out. And there was just a great interview, over it. Like, well, what's going to happen? Well, we're leaving. We're going to Miami. Exactly. Everybody wants to go to Miami. The whole financial business structures in New York, I think everybody's leaving. I think we're going to see, fortunately and unfortunately for Florida, it's a net gain of smart people, So there's a brain drain in New York. We're the direct benefactors. That means a lot of more people, a lot more money, a lot more traffic. The construction is crazy. Downtown Fort Lauderdale, new old buildings are coming down. New high rises are going up. Fort Lauderdale's skyline is changing dramatically over the past 10 years. Dramatic changes. And at 2008, 2010, there was a complete hold on all construction in South Florida. And now all those projects and many more projects are all going up. Miami skyline, booming. Fort Lauderdale skyline, booming. Soon we're going to see other skylines in the area. Same thing. Hollywood skyline, booming.
Right.
There's new stuff going on up there. And that's because of the net gain of people coming down. We just have traffic is completely out of control. Trying to get to Miami, 45-minute drive. It took me, was it 2 weeks ago? I went down 2 hours, 2 hours to get to Miami. It took me an hour and a half another day to get down there. You just never know. Then it took me an hour and 15 to get home. Like, it's a 45-minute drive, but that's because of all the traffic.
Right.
And you can be in the express lane, you can be in the regular lanes. It doesn't even matter. But that's that's what you have to suffer through, because everybody's coming here and they're bringing all their money. And then we saw Starbucks. They moved their headquarters out of Washington. So there's
Jeff.
Seattle, and the mayor's laughing about it. And he said, you know what? Screw you. We're leaving. Everybody's leaving. Elizabeth Warren, caused the destruction of Spirit Airlines directly. AOC chased, like you said, Amazon out of Brooklyn. It's crazy. These people are nuts.
They're just the dumbest humans on planet. I bring up something simple with any lefties. I go like, okay, so let's compete in the arena of ideas. Okay, you can't. Your platform can't be, we hate Trump. Let's move beyond that to saying, like, what are we going to do? Well, here's what you do. You open the borders because you need illegals coming in to vote for you. That doesn't happen, and we expose it all the time. What else do you do? Well, you would rather than stick up for your constituent, you're going to fight for an illegal who comes in, a lot of them criminals. Look what happened to rents in big cities where they deported a lot of people. All of a sudden, the rents drop. Why? Because you're not overflowing. Demand equals, if there's not enough demand for it, you got to entice people, so the rents dropped. Oh, interesting correlation there, Jeff. And what else do they stand for? Raising taxes. Did you ever see any Democrat fighting to lower taxes, talking about taxes are too high? Never. They always want to raise taxes for more programs, more stuff, things that never get solved, programs that never go anywhere. They're going to fight homelessness. Look in California, billions of dollars. Did one person have a place to sleep? No. That gets funneled into, basically laundered in the back end. So I'm like, what are your ideas? What are you going to do that's better? Because I hear you complaining about it, but what's going to be better? And it's always going to be silence. They don't know. They don't know. And here's AOC here. The Leering Centers. The Leering Centers are fantastic. Look at so here's AOC. Now I almost think does she really believe this stuff? But here's two things from an interview she recently gave. And look at this. Just listen to this. We'll workshop this. Here we go.
Certain level of wealth and accumulation that is unearned, right? You can't earn.
Now, in this interview, Jeff, tell me which one is dumber. I can't figure out which one of them has less mental acuity than the other. It's like they're both, yes.
Earn $1 billion.
That's
right. You can't earn $1 billion.
That's right.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
Oh my God, these people, the look in her eyes, she's like, oh, I got to think something smart. I got to be intelligent.
They always have the crazy eyes, don't they, Jeff?
Always crazy eyes, but she's looking off to that left. It's like, how can I make this up? I gotta invent some words here. I got to figure out how I'm going to think through this process.
I also think they're jacked up on big pharma. I think every single one of them is like on 3 meds because they're just like they've lost any sort of a semblance of being human anymore. The other one's like, that's right. You can't earn it. Yeah.
That's right.
You just can't.
Is it delightful?
You can get market power. You can break rules. You can do all sorts of things.
Okay.
You can abuse labor laws.
Yep.
You can pay people less than what they're worth.
Yep.
But you can't earn that, right?
That's
And
right.
so
Oh my God.
you have to create a myth that since you didn't earn that, you have to create a myth of earning it.
Now
She
we're back
thinks
to
she just said something smart, but she didn't. She's like a myth. Oh, that's good. I got to stick with this
right.
concept.
She doesn't even know what she's going to say next. I mean, we're back to the Obama. You didn't earn that, right? Like the country was. They make up these lies about how the country was built and who came over here, right? They're like, well, you didn't earn that. Remember that you didn't earn that when Obama was around. It was like you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that. Well, John Deaton chimed in on that. You guys remember John Deaton? So John Deaton had some good commentary on this, Jeff. Look at this here. He said AOC's claim that you can't earn $1 billion is just economically illiterate. It reveals fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth is actually created. That right there says everything. But no, John goes into detail here. Billionaires aren't paid a wage. They aren't compensated by the hour. They're owners. And ownership means bearing risk that most people never face and would never accept. Elon Musk didn't become wealthy because someone handed him a check. He put everything on the line repeatedly and built companies that employ hundreds of thousands of people and changed entire industries. Jeff Bezos, he didn't extract wealth. He created it by solving a problem for hundreds of millions of consumers who voluntarily chose to use what he built. That's the key word, voluntary. Every dollar a billionaire earns in free market is the result of millions of individual consumers saying, yeah, this product or service is worth it to me. Wealth accumulation at that scale is simply the mathematical result of creating extraordinary value for extraordinary number of people. The market doesn't pay you $1 billion. Millions of free people do, one decision at a time. Now, contrast that with career politicians. What risk does a career politician bear? What product do they offer so that you can choose to accept or reject? They hold office for decades, accumulate power through coercion and compulsion more than by voluntary consent. Then they leave wealthier than they arrived, having produced nothing a single citizen was free to refuse. That is the economic model worth scrutinizing, earning a living off taxpayers for decades without ever building a single thing. You don't have to admire billionaires. And we need to amend our tax code to prevent loopholes that allow anyone from paying their fair share. But the audacity here is breathtaking, Jeff.
Yeah. So, and it's not just AOC. There's a whole group of these socialists that somehow have really infiltrated into our government infrastructure, just like the Islamists. Just, the socialist communists are there, and we're allowing them to perpetuate their insanity. So here's before I go into read that comment, I like that, and then I'm going to pull this video up real quick.
She says, anyone who got that t-shirt that said make AOC bartend again, she didn't earn her seat. I know they cheated because Brooklyn didn't vote for her 100%.
Plus she won some sort of a competition to even run, so it wasn't like she had some idea in her mind that, hey,
she never built it. Any of these people never built companies, never ran companies, never did anything.
So,
oh boy, Bernie.
So we don't have to play the whole exchange with Bernie, just knowing that he was attacking Howard Schultz, the CEO then of Starbucks, and he was attacking him for not earning, and going after him to say he needed to pay more taxes, right? So this was some response here. Let's see. Hopefully I'm right on the right target here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I forgot to share
audio.
that.
Yeah, press pause. There you go.
Why can't it be easier? There should be an easy way to just say, hey, share audio.
You don't realize we got to share. You got to click 3 buttons. You got to click the right tab, Chrome tab, number 1. Then you got to hit the button that says shared. But because if you normally share stuff, you don't. So you have to share it a different way. It really is confusing, Jeff.
It's like just give me one easy way to say, hey, share the screen. But do you want to share audio too now, later on, like after the fact? Okay, here we go. Let's see.
I'm sorry. A lot of people.
I think it's important to hear the facts.
You'll have your chance.
You'll have your chance.
He won't even. Right, then he doesn't even let him tell his story.
Never get your chance.
So then here's his
freaking Bernie.
Here's the story, I think, right here. Let's see.
I think this is another area that I hope I get a chance to speak about. For the last 12 months, my involvement, my engagement, and my return to Starbucks has been primarily, I would say 95%, focused on the operations of our business, the customer, domestically and around the world. My involvement and engagement in union activities, despite this event today, has been de minimis. I was not involved in any issue of closing stores.
Are you aware,
Don't
Mr.
have
Schultz, that an administrative law judge ordered you to record that notice?
No, I am not, because
this is
Starbucks
crazy.
Coffee Company did not break the law.
This is their whole agenda.
Under your
Is that-
leadership.
They're constantly going after him like they broke the law. They're doing something wrong. I thought I had the right clip up when he goes into his story where he started from nothing,
Right.
acquired, I think he ended up acquiring the first
He
store.
did. Yeah,
that there.
it was not doing well.
It wasn't doing well. And he takes it, builds it into a global franchise. And he said, so what? I make $1 billion a year. That's earned money. He earned it. He's the one who had the vision. He's the one who built it. He's the one who struggled. He's the one who, sits up and works 24 hours a day. Nobody else works 24 hours a day. Does that one barista have significance in the entire ecosystem of Starbucks? No, that's the unfortunate reality. Does the barista have significance at that individual store? Yes, because so the barista is earned, and can that barista be replaced? Probably, because it's a franchise system with a process in place to train people. But if you have good people, you want to keep good people. You don't want to constantly churn and burn people, and you want people that respect. They're talking about having a union. So they wanted a union. Now, if people have certain skill sets and they have value, you pay them for the skill set and value. If that person is replaceable, meaning their skill set isn't significant, and they can be replaced very, very easily, the pay scale is lower because you can go hire someone else. And those are the people you churn and burn. But if they have value to the corporation and they can move up, you bring someone in, they start at the cash register. They learn the process. They learn all the coffee, the significance of the different, the beans and the processing and how you grind it and how you do whatever. And they become the master barista at the location. Are they going to earn more? Yes. Are they significant to that store? Yes, because that's the functionality of the process. Until you find that diamond in the rough, you're not paying everybody a massive wage because then the store doesn't exist. But someone like a Bernie Sanders or an AOC, they have no concept how to run a business, especially a retail store. Retail stores operate on slim margins overall. They're in locations with big magnet stores, or they're in high-end rent district. That's where Starbucks goes. They're in a lot of high-end rent district places. So their rent is extremely costly. Is there a big margin on coffee? I'm sure there's huge markups on coffee. Is it extortion? The prices they charge on coffee versus when you go to Italy and you get amazing espresso and it's €1. And then over here, that same espresso cost is $3.50, $4. That's highly improbable because the coffee is not even nearly as good. So we can look at price points versus the reality of it. But then you can look at the wage. You want to look at wage system. You want to pay people higher because that's your corporate structure. Hey, go for it.
Works.
But you can't be mandated and forced and coerced by the government to pay $20 an hour minimum wage, because the businesses are going to go out of business. And if you take money away, there was another one. I think it was the Citadel guy, might have been someone else, and they were telling him how much money he needed to be. He needed to pay 70% of his income in taxation, over $2 million or something like that. And he said, "Hey, great," because the guy was making $1 billion a year. He said, "You know what's going to happen?" He goes, "I'm going to hit 2 million in income, and then I'm going to shut my business down until the next year." He said, "Then I'm going to go fishing and golfing, and I'm not going to work anymore, and I'm going to furlough all my workers until the next season, and then we're going to start selling again." He goes, "How does that work?" And these people don't understand the concept. It kills me.
It's horrible, Jeff. Owning a business, being a business owner like us, I've been a business owner where people are like, "It must be great." I'd always hear like overtones like, "It must be great owning a business." And I'm like, if you only knew that I make a lot less than you make, and I only take money if there's profits, and if the company's struggling and you got to do a cash call to put money in because you're sweating making payroll, and you have outstanding, at the time I had like 1.6 million that was owed to me, sweating over making payroll. You've never experienced that as a business owner, and taking care of your people and making sure they're taken care of and their health care is taken care of and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, you're an asshole. You're sitting there scraping by. You're making concessions on your side, and they think, oh, it must be great owning a business. Yeah, it is great when it's working, and when things get tough, it's not the same. Bernie never had a private sector job like the Get says here, like never. And they're career politicians. They don't even know how to run a business. They don't even have an idea for a business or solving a problem. Here's another AOC clip here. Listen to this one.
American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time.
What in the absolute F is she talking about? The billion? This, I mean, if you don't even, the basic grade school stuff. Listen to this again, please.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time.
Huh?
And we are declaring independence from such an extreme marriage of wealth and power and the state.
These people hate the American people. They hate you. They want to tax you to death. They want to pretend to fight on your behalf. And they used to be the party of the working man and women. No more. They're the party of tax and wokeness and stupidity.
Socialist, communist.
Right. They're just communists. They have nothing good going for them, Jeff. I mean, everything that they do is just incredibly ridiculous. This AOC thing, she's a nut job. And then, well, since we're on this topic of nut jobs, let's play this one here. This is Rosa Della Loro. She's the blue-haired woman from, where is she, from Maine? I don't know. But so she was in a hearing last week. I wanted to play this last week. We didn't get to it.
You have to force people to do it.
Yeah, to force people. Yeah, and look what happens. Like, oh, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15, $18 an hour, right? And so what ends up happening? They get kiosks and they fire people, and then your job became harder because now you got to cover what that other work you used to do, and now you got your job. They just never understand. They don't understand market economics. They're idiots.
There you go. Fair share. How much of my time in labor union? I thought you were against slavery, but Zober actually spun the narrative because they are the party of slavery. So
100%.
They were never against it. They were always for it. They weren't in favor of civil rights either. So people have to remember the Democrats will spin whatever story they want to tell you. They were against civil rights. They were against and in favor of slavery. And they were the party of the KKK, regardless of what any history class wants to teach you. You go back and actually read the narrative, and you'll know exactly where they
party
fit.
Of bad ideas and bad thinking. They've always been that party. The first 17, 18 Republicans, black Republicans, or blacks were Republicans. I mean, you go back and do history. Look, they were sitting there saying like somebody was bitching on CNN saying there haven't been any black governors, and they're like, well, there was one running in who was the lieutenant governor, and she was running. But you guys elected Spanberger. Look what she's done. So, and then one of the people losing their seat, they said, "Oh my gosh, this person's losing their seat." Yeah, because it'd be replaced by a black person. Come on. I mean, if it doesn't count if you're a minority and you run and you are in Congress, they have to poo-poo that. But here's Rosa DeLauro. Here she is. And Jeff, the amount of stupidity here is just breathtaking. It's breathtaking, and you got to just admire the level of patience here. Listen to this.
Climate change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air.
What are they talking about? This stuff has been debunked time and time again. Climate change, climate change, blue hair, raise taxes.
Driving up healthcare and disaster costs. How can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth?
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper Bright, Supreme Court case, you familiar with it?
No, I maybe others are. I'm not, but let me ask.
But that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper Bright says that we, as an agency, don't have the authority to get creative. If Section 202 of the Clean Air Act,
no, but you don't have. Excuse me, you do not have the right to say climate change does not exist. That it's a hoax, and that's where this administration is coming from.
I understand you're upset that you don't know what Loper Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because
you know what the major policies doctrine is.
You know what, let me just
you're a member of Congress. You should know.
Well, you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden
being very defensive about not knowing the two biggest landmarks landmark Supreme Court cases of the last year
you are
with regards to your
you are
question.
very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the.
Yeah, the Loper Bright is what we were talking about before. What I had cited in my response, which is the Chevron doctrine that got overturned, saying that agencies do not have the ability to take something and that's not specifically stated and make new rules from it. You just can't. That it makes a lot of sense, but you can't do that. Yeah, why are you trying to defend science? And a lot of and I think a big issue with the left is that they run on emotions. They do not run on any sort of logic stream or any kind of understanding. She just, you're anti-climate change. He's trying to explain Loper Bright and like these two major Supreme Court decisions that just happened, Jeff. Let's talk about the last 2 years. She doesn't even know. And it's hard to understand here, but look at her. She starts screaming and he goes, I get that you're upset, but you don't know the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases. You know, he can't interpret that and spin it into something that's not specifically listed there.
Environment.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
you just tell
Do you want me to tell you what the two biggest Supreme
I
Court
want you to
cases
tell
are of the
me.
last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus
me.
EPA,
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions and answer the questions.
Well, I answered your question,
No, you
and you
didn't.
didn't like my answer because
did
you
not
don't know what
answer the
Loper Bright is,
question.
because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is,
Chairman,
because you're asking me about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and you don't read it. You don't know what it says.
Listen, and what you want to do is to deny. You want
No,
to.
I actually read the law. I do my homework.
Really?
You're just somebody who likes to have the microphone on. You know what I have to do? I read the law.
No,
I
Mr.
read the
Chairman,
Supreme
I don't
Court
have to
cases.
listen to this, and I would say
No,
this,
what you should do
that
for your
this-
constituents is actually read statute.
This budget is at real risk.
Read
Let
your
me tell
Supreme
you,
Court.
This is the Appropriations Committee.
Oh,
you come here.
you care
and
about
you
science?
tell
Now
us-
you're threatening to defund it?
Oh my God! No, you don't fund
Because
science.
you don't know what Loper
You
Bright
are
is.
climate
Because you don't know what the
deniers.
major policies
You are
doctrine is. Your
climate
message
deniers.
to our folks at the EPA is that you want to
I don't
defund
have
us.
to listen to this BS.
BS. You think I made up these cases?
Yeah, I think you have made up a whole
I made
lot of
I made
BS.
up Loper Bright. I made up West Virginia versus EPA. I made up Michigan versus EPA.
Woe is right. What are you doing? Why are you helping polluters?
I think shut the F up would be more appropriate in this case. Like, you just can't. How do you say to somebody that you're dumber than dumb without telling people you're dumber? I mean, it's. You watch this, Jeff, and you're just in shock every time. You're like, somebody can't be this stupid. Turns out they are. Turns out every single time they are that stupid. So all I got to say is, not only is there so much winning going on the right, but there's just an insane amount of losing going on the left, especially when we get to the UK news about labor. But look at this, Jeff. This is just one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen. Republicans dominating the redistricting, confirmed. So California has +5 because of the redistricting in California. Utah picked up 1 Democrat, so they got +6 here, right? Florida's +4 Republicans, Missouri +1 Republicans, North Carolina +1 Republicans, +2 in Ohio, +5. That's +6 Democrats to +14 Republicans. Now, pending, we've got Alabama +1, Louisiana +2, Mississippi +1, Tennessee +1. Virginia was overturned, so they lost that 4. So likely total outcome +6 for the Democrats, 18 for the Republicans. Good look. And a lot of great people are losing their seat because it's fantastic. You know Robert Reich. You know Robert Reich. He was in the Obama administration. This guy is beyond kooky. He's the kookiest person I've ever seen, Jeff. He's kookier than you could ever even imagine. But listen to this. I got to show you this. Something happened on my screen share. Here we go. Look at this. Robert Reich. Here's Robert Reich. He says, a reminder, any political party trying to make it harder to vote is sending a clear message. They can't win on their ideas alone. Projection. You don't have any ideas. Your idea is we hate Trump.
That's all they have.
Eagles. We like borders. We love high taxes, right? This is what they love. So Ted Cruz checked them. Ted Cruz said, hey, Bobby, what does your state do? Here's the gerrymandering. Massachusetts, 36% Republican, 0 seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican, 0 seats. Maine, 46 Republican, 0 seats. New Mexico, 46% Republican, 0 seats. New Hampshire, 48% Republican, 0 seats. Rhode Island, 42% Republican, 0 seats. Vermont, 32% Republican, 0 seats. Hawaii, 38%, 0 seats. And then Delaware, 42%. So
And
it's bad when Republicans do it. See, it's only that.
Well, here's the thing. 8 years ago, there was a video, and this kind of goes back to the whole EPA thing and the insanity of the Democrats talking about this. And you can go really in depth. There's a lot of papers written about the rise in CO2 and the necessity of the rise of CO2 in order to support vegetation. So if you want to vegetate the world, if you want greenery in the world, you have to have an increase of CO2, and we can actually vegetate most of the deserts and make them green again with more CO2. Now, the thing is, plants handle CO2, trees handle CO2 and convert it into what? Oh, yeah, oxygen, the stuff that we need to breathe. Now, pollution and high gatherings of it in big cities where it gets trapped in between the buildings, and you have massive amounts of cars, the smog pollution that's going to impact us directly because we're breathing in a tight spot because it's overpopulated. That's different than what these guys are trying to claim with climate change. But here, this is the founder. This is the founder of the Weather Channel. And remember, they attacked him for being a weather denier. So here's, let me just play this. This is a short one.
I resent you calling me a denier. That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change. And I want to make it darn clear, Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
And I'm glad you did, because I am addicted to the Weather Channel. I watch a lot of cable news.
Now, hold on just a minute. I'm not done. And CNN has taken a very strong position on global warming that it is a consensus. Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts. And if you get down to the hard, cold facts, there's no question about it. Climate change is not happening. There is no significant man-made global warming now. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future. There's a whole lot of baloney. And yes, it has become a big political point of the Democratic Party and part of their platform. And I regret it's become political instead of scientific. But the science is on my side.
Jeff, it's good for finding that. That is so succinct and right on. Look at this right here. It gets Ray says the purple ladyboy is given my mother took Thymalide when I was pregnant with me instead of missing limbs and smooth brained and missing over 50% of 2 lobes of my brain vibes. Yeah, 100%. That might be what's going on there. I think they're all hopped up on big pharma. Personally, I think it's destroyed their brains.
They're definitely on big pharma.
I think that's what's going on there. Because if you look at these people and what they're hyped on, so the whole idea of the Virginia Supreme Court overturning the redistricting, what people do not understand, and what Dollar Store Obama doesn't understand. This is Hakeem Jeffries here, Jeff, and it says that over 3 million Virginia citizens cast their votes in a free and fair election. Yet the state Supreme Court has chosen to invalidate their voice. Again, not what happened. Disenfranchise them, violate their due process rights. The decision overturned an entire election, an unprecedented and undemocratic action. They don't even understand what democracy is. MAGA Republicans have adopted voter suppression as a strategy, as also evidenced by far-right extremists and blah, blah, blah. We're exploring all options to overturn this shocking decision. No matter what it takes, House Democrats will win in November so we can help rescue this nation from tribal, right? So listen to this, Jeff. This is the best thing ever. Well, I love when you get checked by community notes. This is great. The claim that the 2026 amendment was the will of more than 3 million voters is deceptive, as only 1.6 million voters supported it. Important missing context: in 2020, 2.8 million voters supported nonpartisan system that created the current map. So you had the 2.8 people who actually voted for it to keep it unpolitical. They turned it political, but they didn't follow the basic procedural things that needed to happen according to the Virginia Constitution. So they bypassed stuff, and then so they were basically put it on the ballot illegally, right? Not bypassing it. And this is what the Supreme Court of Virginia voted on, because They just made some shit up and they didn't follow their own procedure. So there was 100% in my mind this was getting overturned. Like, how could it not get overturned? And so that Jeff, so they filed a they're trying to dispute this thing. But look at this. Democrats panicked so hard they can't even spell Virginia or senator correctly in their appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. They're trying to revive their 10D1R gerrymandering map. So they spelled Virginia.
Oh my God.
NIA, and senator, SENTATOR. It's a senator.
Right at the beginning. First thing they do.
Look at this. Senator. They don't even
right at the top of your list.
Jeff, they're so just, I guess, I can't even speak here. It's like they're so separated from reality that they don't even write let me see, run a space back. No, listen, everything I do is right and I'm smart. They don't even spell. It's a simple spell check. I'm going to submit this to the U.S. Supreme Court. You know what? Let me just give it an old spell check just to see. And maybe they did. Maybe it said, "Oh, that's spelled right, Virginia."
Spelled right.
Virginia. NIA. Senator. Oh, it looks like maybe they did do it, and they thought, "Hey, that's spelled correctly." But you have to
be on the devil advocate side. The spell check has been getting dumber lately too.
That it has. That's why I use Grammarly, because Grammarly is way better than any spell check. I run through everything through Grammarly. It's way better, Jeff, without even a doubt. So I just you gotta wonder at some point, like, what is absolutely happening. I want to get into this next story here. This is Justin Pearson, who's a Democrat. He got into a little bit of because his seat's going away. He got very angry about it. But here is him. Here's the confrontation right here. And this is something, when you act like this, you should be censored or put in jail. Look at this.
I'll walk him out. Y'all go. Let go of him. Let go of him, sir. You got me all tied up. Now you got me all tied up. My brother ain't doing nothing to nobody. He ain't doing nothing to nobody. You don't walk out like yourself. Move the back. Boy! Yeah, let Pearson go. Let Pearson. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You stupid mother.
How'd that all start?
Well, because of the redistricting, they're passing the redistricting. He's angry about it, so he created a whole commotion. This is what they've all been doing. But let's take a look at Justin Pearson. Now, I remember when this guy first hit the scene, I said, you know what? I think this guy could be a star in the Democrat Party, because if you listen to his initial messaging, and this is back when he was I think in college, but I said, you know what? This guy could have a bright future. Now, watch the contrast. Watch what happens when the woke mind virus enters your mind and you turn into a nut job. You're not going to believe this is the same person. Watch this, Jeff. This is unbelievably crazy.
Pearson, and I'm running for president of BSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Bowdoin Democrats to the Bowdoin Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Here, you've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and we are still here. And today, you'll take the only majority black district from us. But I want you to know, and I want my nephew, sons, and the future to know, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and break us and make us bend and make us quit, we will still be here.
Same guy. Okay, when he was back in college running.
Justin J. Pearson, and I'm running for president of BSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year.
I mean, it's hard to believe. This is what happens when you become a leftist, right? You broke yourself, dude. You broke yourself. You're the one that bailed on life. And yeah, you took away the only black district, and we took away your seat, and nobody could be happier.
And so here's and here's the fraud that they all perpetrate, as though they come from some poor economic upbringing. And so Malcolm Martin Luther, aka Justin Pearson, is the Jasmine Crockett of Memphis. His parents are very affluent. So of course,
100%.
you can see that based on the first video.
Correct.
Normal. Then he gets in to the left, but it's all an act. All of them are in that act mode, completely crazy. And so his whole it's insane. His whole minister, preaching and all of this. They think they're in this. The other fallacy of the left is that they're somehow now preaching in the 60s, and they're fighting for their civil rights, and they're fighting this big racist system. And listen to what he's advocating for: an entire
Racism
black
is what he's advocating
he wants
for.
segregation. He wants it so bad. They want the and the crazy part is that without the intrusion of the leftist communists that's abusing and using the black community, right? And he's a participant in that at this point. So he's participating with the left's abuse of the black community to segregate out the black community and have it as a voting block for the leftist communist ideology. And they don't even, and the left doesn't care about that segregated black community until it's time to vote. And this is the crazy part, is that you have leadership like him getting paid. He's already affluent, could care less about the constituency. It's all about the power hold. And then it's all goes back to the leftists. And then you say, oh, we're going to fight for the black representation. Oh, but we're going to be subservient to a Bernie Sanders, or, we're going to be subservient to the leftist, older white, communist leadership. Exactly what they say they're fighting. It's like, it's so irrational. It's just like, just have a melting pot. Let's draw the lines the way they're meant to be drawn. And then let's elect people that represent the district and the benefit of the people, and not have some political narrative that is outside of the district entirely. And that's all he's fighting for at this point. It's all a show, and it's all gimmickry.
Yeah.
And now that's all we're seeing through. It's all theater. And now that whole theater is coming to an end. It's all collapsing in front of them, and they don't know what to do about it now.
Because they're getting beat at their own game, Jeff. That's the thing. Chad Nauseum says, Tennessee, I see your Jasmine Crockett, and I raise you a Justin Pearson.
And they make it sound like racism only started here in the US. Like, it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And if you're in the black community, you're not racist because you're black, and you can't be racist. That's such a misnomer. That's so fake. Like, you can go in any community and you're going to find prejudice against another community. That's the reality of it. Travel around the world, you'll sense it, right? And it's just, you travel around the country, you're going to say, it's just, that's how it is. But for the most part, they also want to hyper focus on the fact that everybody's like that. Come on. It's a smaller percentage. At the end of the day, walk around your community, walk around your neighborhood. You're going to see people from all different backgrounds, and everybody gets along. And that's the majority of it.
Funny part of it,
right?
Jeff. Well, this whole thing, this word that emerged called reverse racism was assuming that racism only could go one direction. Racism is thinking that you're better, as your race is superior and better.
Right.
And I mean, and then what does racism even mean? Everything's racist. Everything's these words, they lose their meaning over time. It's like, oh, that's racist. That's racist. That's racist. It's like, how is everything so racist all the entire time when you're thinking about people who, like you said, Jeff, like in my community, people just get along. It's like you have the politicians, you have this division that's constantly fostered. Yeah, do people feel a certain way? Go to Japan, okay? Look at, you have one race, now they're social economical. They're class based. Go to India. They are class based. You're from this class. You're from this family. They'll find new ways, invent ways. Go to China and find out basically one race, and you'll find out that there's a lot of tension because this person is a family name and versus this person, and this person lives in this area. You're going to find ways to dislike somebody. Sometimes it's based on skin color. Sometimes it's based on all kinds of crazy stuff. But like, to sit there and say like, well, racism, everything's race, everything the left hates is racist, right? I mean, so you got the Democrats who are standing up to have racist, because it benefits them. They want to have racist lines drawn. There was a line, Jeff, drawn. It looked like the letter C in Chicago. It was drawn like this, like a letter C. It was like the outer district of the city where they just drew lines where it was predominantly black. I'm like, well, that in itself, so they don't understand. They don't even understand the basics of the ruling because they don't have any knowledge on it. They're like, hey, the Supreme Court said you can't have districts based on race. Why? Because it's against the Constitution and it's not a fair thing. You draw them based, and they're standing up and advocating for racism because it benefits them, right? Look at CNN said about this whole gerrymandering thing, Jeff. Look at this.
And that's exactly what happened.
I want you to look at the sad faces, especially the sourpuss on the left who always has the sourpuss on her face.
And that's exactly what happened. I've been texting with folks, and they're saying, and these are folks at the D-Trip saying, yes, this is a setback, but they feel like, you know, they were trying to get 4 additional seats. Probably 2 of those they probably can get, particular if it's a wave.
Because it could be a bad year.
It could be a bad year. But listen, this is a big blow. Hakeem Jeffries. I basically wrote a column that was like, this was great for Hakeem Jeffries because he was all in on it. $38 million spent from a group affiliated with him. Obama was in on this.
Sad faces,
and now this is a big defeat. And one of the reasons why Virginia was so important as well was Democrats were anticipating this Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, they were anticipating. I love to see the sad faces, and they got punched in the face and beat, man. They got punched in the face and beat. This guy here says that this particular thing with Rubio is a lock for 2028. I like Rubio for 2028 myself personally, but listen to the reasons given here. And he's doing some commentary on fake Tapper, which makes it even more fun.
This right here just got Marco Rubio half of the millennial vote. Check this.
Now look, remember he was DJing. He's got the DJ leather jacket on with the headphones.
I asked him what his DJ name was at his press conference.
Yeah, what did he say? You can't. You're not ready for my DJ name.
I'm ready for my DJ.
That was a great
Funny
comeback.
when he's standing in the press conference. I'm like, now he's wearing all that.
This is
Someone
great.
said, Rubio and Rubio for 28. He doesn't need a VP.
That's perfect. Yeah.
This right here just got Marco Rubio half of the millennial vote. Check this out.
Well, hardly the most important part of Secretary of State Rubio's comments about Iran, he did drop a few 90s hip-hop references that those of you who are not Gen X may have missed. First, talking about what the Iranian regime is doing to its own economy, he said this.
They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
That is a reference to the 1992 Ice Cube song, Check Yourself, from his album The Predator.
You better check yourself or you wreck yourself.
Then, at a different time, he was talking about the mental stability of the leaders of Iran. And he said this.
They're insane in the brain.
That is a reference to the 1993 Cypress Hill song, Insane in the Brain. He might have music on his mind. We just saw this clip posted by White House official Dan Scavino.
You did not have to go that hard in endorsing our guy Rubio. He's already got enough aura for the rest of them, okay? Okay. Rubio 2028. I'm calling it.
Oh, forget it. I know Tucker's simply harder for jihadists.
Anyway, we can't play that because we can play as long as it's not longer than 6 seconds, which they were pretty good on there. But even weird that Fake Tapper knows that. It was even, I think, more surprising to me that Fake Tapper is in tune with 90s music. I just think that was even more the big surprise right there. Say Ray, I live in Memphis, and to see the matrix glitch in people's brains when you say, how does Steve Cohen represent Black Memphis more than Charlotte Bergman, a grandpa and a pillar of the community? Right. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, logic and reason go out the window. They'll say stuff, and then when you check them on it, when you actually do call them on it, they're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, that dude. I love the picture where he's eating for Kentucky Fried Chicken in one of the hearings. I don't remember the people, that post is going around. What a nut job. I'm so happy that these people are losing their seats. They're no good. They're just
they have to lose their seats. I do have to correct something that the Get said in terms of Steve Cohen. He is not a dual citizen. He's an American citizen, has zero affiliation with Israel. So he said a dual Israeli citizenship. I don't know why that's relevant, but he's not. He's an American citizen, has no affiliation with any citizenship outside this country. Now, that being said, there are lots of dual citizens in this country. So, and it's not all Israel. So there's multiple. The U.S. allows dual citizenship with many other countries. So that is a misnomer.
Canadians have dual citizenship.
dual citizenship. So, and you can't judge it based off that. The guy's a socialist, communist, leftist. You want to say that? That's exactly what he is. He's
Going back to Justin Pearson, somebody posted this. They said the same vibe. Do you remember? Look at this, Jeff. There's the same vibe. Before and after on the top left, before and after on the bottom right. I thought that was pretty.
Go back to that picture.
What was the name of that movie? God, I'll throw it into the comments. Can't think of the. It's great.
Yeah, I don't.
Great movie. I can't think of the movie. The hell is it called? I don't know. The dude's name. Yeah, this is him right over here. Let's see if anybody posted it over here.
Canadians will be Americans so soon. Yeah,
I think pretty much. Yeah, I think Alberta's going to secede, so we'll see what happens there.
Napoleon Dynamite.
That's what I was thinking of. Napoleon Dynamite. Exactly. That's the left. The same. Somebody posted the same vibe. I love that. God, is that some funny stuff right there? Then we've got we got to get into what's going on here with the UK, man. A major political.
This is the biggest news of the week.
This is phenomenal. UK political earthquake. Only 31 of 136 councils declare reform is already dominating local elections. And this is just early on. I think it was much bigger than this. Reform added 258 seats. Labor lost to 188. Conservatives minus 96. Let's see. What else do we have here? And Nigel Farage. This is kind of a turn for Nigel Farage because I've heard him say other things. I think he's kind of, because of he's kind of found a different.
That's what we need.
Yeah, well, because he was saying that he thinks that there's too many Muslims in the UK and they need to stay, and that was that. So now he's saying Nigel Farage announces deportation centers will be expanded into labor and conservative constituencies. If you want open borders, you'll live with the consequences. There you go. I love the sound of that, Jeff.
They got to step up. They got to defend the UK.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Let's see. Here's another. So it's just the fallout of it's great. And Keir Starmer, again, if you're on the left, you just don't have the writing's on the wall. He's got people in his own party calling for him to go. He's right now destroying labor in a big way. Look what labor just got annihilated. And here we go. Here's some good commentary on that. I like the very opening of this one here. Let's see, is this one? Yeah. Here's this one. Keir Starmer. Look at this. He got spanked so hard. Look at this.
Night, Keir Starmer has got the kind of spanking that you'd expect to see in 50 Shades of Grey. As I speak, Labour has lost more than 1,300 seats.
1,300 seats. What?
Apparently. They have lost Wales for the first time in 100 years. The Labour First Minister in Wales lost her seat. People just didn't like 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, becoming a nation of sanctuary for the third world and terrible healthcare, did they? So there you go. Sunderland's gone. Newcastle's gone. They've lost control of Camden. They've lost Westminster. And I can't think why.
سوف نقوم بإرسال معلومات إضافية إليكم مباشرة. شكرا.
Amra Zanatam Sayar, the Westminster Council, Amra Housing Register System Budlaitam.
I have a word for you. F off. You want it? You know what? You know the most important. I didn't think it would be an important quote, but the most important quote I think of Donald Trump this year is: "If you import the third world, you become the third world." That's what we're seeing in many, many places. When you import the third world, you become the third world. And this is what these people are. So they have these Muslims who want Sharia law, who don't value the UK. They don't value the history. They don't value it's a Christian nation. They don't value any of that. They want to dominate you. They want to convert you. They want to tax you to death. And then ultimately they want your heads detached from your body. That's ultimately what they are. It's a death cult and a pedophile ring.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's because they kept advertising free stuff to foreigners who didn't speak our language. And people decided they didn't really fancy any more of that. In Birmingham, they've lost seats to this lot.
Only one independent in Hillsdale, that's Asim Khan. We don't want people who have been with the Labour Party previously, been campaigning against Ayub Khan, now standing as independents. No, we don't want people like that.
Gosh, Labour losing because of mass immigration of people from various different Muslim countries. I mean, why else might Labour have lost out in Birmingham?
Go into the butcher's with me. Door open. Rubbish everywhere. Oh, hello, sir. You work in the butcher's, obviously, or are you just carrying around a sheep? Looks like a...
They act like they're in the countries they came from. That there's no cleanliness laws. They don't abide by anything.
No.
You know, and if you go over there, you'll see, you go to the markets and the meat markets and just meat hanging, and it's a whole different environment. And
third world, Jeff.
Third world. When we're in the UK or in the US, we have grocery stores, you have meat markets, there's standards, there, you know, cleanliness standards, and you get visited by city government representations based on cleanliness of facility, whether it's a restaurant or a grocery store, and there's standards that they'll shut you down. Now, it's same thing in the UK. There are certain standards, and the whole narrative flipped upside down because they've imported the third world. Those people came because of the free money, the free handouts, and they even talk about how many are still living on the dole system, you know, and it's insane. They're not working. There's no incentive to work. There's no incentive to develop because you're bringing mass numbers of people over, and it's
cut them off.
And you have to cut them off. Just say, you know what? No more government subsidy. Hey, you know what? Out. You know, it's time to get rid of people. You can't have them there because they're not there for the betterment of society. You brought them in, and their objective is to make society worse.
Well, this is it right here.
Positive, but
they have a culture of lying to us because it's called taqiyya, and it's in the Quran, and it's the way they do it. Taqiyya is lying, saying anything you will until you dominate or get a majority. That's exactly what taqiyya is. So here we go. I mean, this is insane, Jeff. Look at this.
Goat.
Yeah. Oh, it's the bin strike as well, isn't it? The bin strike everywhere. Labour has lost control of now, I think, it's 11 councils, including Tameside, a Labour stronghold, for 47 years. Labour MPs Nadia Whittome, Upsana Begum, Jonathan Brash, Clive Lewis, Ian Lavery, Graham Stringer, and plenty more have called for him to go. Cabinet Minister Ed Miliband has reportedly told him to go.
These are big voices of labor, and if they're telling you to go and you're still clinging, dude, after this walloping, you are inflicting further damage. I mean, when 6 people of your own party are saying it's time and you're still staying, boy, it's going to get even worse for labor.
Barry Gardner has called for him to go. Well, be interesting to get his views in a minute. Okay. The unions have called for Starmer to go. They got a kicking in Scotland. The leader in Scotland called for Starmer to go months ago. In Wigan, Labour lost every single seat up for election to reform. There is no such thing now as a Labour-safe seat anywhere in the country. Barry might want to push back on that. Shall we just remind ourselves of what Keir Starmer said before previous elections?
When you lose an election in a democracy, you deserve to. You don't look at the electorate and ask them, what were you thinking? You look at yourself and ask, what were we doing?
Well,
the Prime
I
Minister.
imagine today he's thinking he'll do the honourable thing. You know, he'll just disappear from public life. Nope.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
What a weak.
He doesn't want to plunge the country into chaos. What does he think this is? I don't know. Keir Starmer saying that he's going to stay and fight. It's like Comical Alley, isn't it? Saying that there's no Americans in Baghdad as the tanks roll in behind him. Bombs are falling around everywhere. David Lammy's still putting up a bit of rearguard action. When asked about the PM's future, he said, "You don't change the pilot mid-flight." Well, unfortunately for David Lammy, yet again, he's made himself look like a bit of an idiot, because they do actually swap pilots mid-flight on long-haul flights. In fact, it's a legal requirement. So
Yeah, David Lammy's one of the other more moronic people, but again, it's par for the course here.
There you go. And this is what's happened. For decades, snobby North London human rights lawyer types like Starmer and Lord Hermer have thought they knew how to run a country. Hermer, by the way, looks exactly like Norris from Coronation Street. Has anyone ever spotted that one before? But they've had 22 months at it. There he is. Look at that. Uncanny. Look at that. Same bloke, isn't it? Anyway, they've had 22 months at it. They've run the country into the ground, and now they've got their rear ends handed to them. They're not quite as clever as they think they are they? But bye-bye, Keir. Time to run off to Davos, where you belong.
Oh, my God.
God bless the GB News, man. It's really, I mean, it puts shame to, you know, the state-sponsored propaganda of the BBC and, you know, and Sky News and all that bullshit. It is rather refreshing. Like, this is so exciting for me to see them just get hammered. And Keir Starmer saying like, "Oh no, I'm not going to go. Why would I go?" You know, he doesn't want to go, Jeff. I mean, he thinks.
What's your prediction by the weekend? He'll be
I
out?
think he doesn't survive the summer. I don't think there's no way he can.
I mean,
the voices are gonna intensify on the left. Labor, they're not. I mean, this is a hammering. Like, dude, they lost Wales. 100 years they held Wales. I mean, this is an ass kicking like no other ass kicking. And well, let's play the good stuff, because here's a compilation of TikTok users crashing out over reform. Check this out.
You know,
I mean, what's the shocking part of this? Before she opens her mouth, the rainbow hair, does that a tip off? Does she have crazy bulging eyes? Is she on 3 big pharma meds that has stolen her soul? I don't know.
One or two.
I'm horrified.
She's horrified. Like, she hasn't seen any of the news. She hasn't seen anything that's been going on since Labor took over.
There goes my future.
Wait a minute.
There goes my rights. It's fun.
These people are stupid. They're stupid.
Let's go find your brain while you're at it. It says, "You telling me I moved to the UK only for Reform Party to take over after I escaped MAGA?" This is so rich and amazing. I can never get enough of this stuff.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I know that the Oi Saveloys are going to be all over the internet today. Oh, we won. We're coming to get you to pull. I'm all right. My area, there wasn't even, I swear there was like one Reform candidate, and he's not getting in. So I'm probably going to have a green councillor, if I'm honest with you. This is going to be all green in my area, and that's fine with me, because I will get the local services that I need and deserve, while you lot get nothing. So who's laughing now?
I have a question for all the people that have voted for Reform. What's going to happen to your cheeky Chinese? What's going to happen to your doner kebab? What's going to happen to the food and the takeaways that you like to get? What's going to happen to that? Since you wanted to vote, I've got answer it.
Why are people actually voting for Reform? Did you learn nothing from Brexit? They're not a party. They're a business. They don't care about the people. They don't care about you. Problems with this country aren't coming in boats. They're flying in private jets. They're sitting in the Houses of Parliament. But you ooga booga caveman brain bastards believe anything these politicians say blindly without fact checking it yourself.
Guys, genuinely, why are there people openly supporting racism? Like, why am I seeing bare people vote Reform? I'm sorry, but how are there like even videos of school children saying vote Reform? Are you even educated on what it's about? Like,
oh yeah, they
why
are,
you like when you're saying vote Reform? Do you know even what you're talking about?
Yes.
Like, are you even educated? Because to me, it looks like you don't know what you're talking about. You're encouraging people to vote Reform, and they don't even know what they're doing. Guys, like, Reform supports people being deported back to their home country. It supports racism.
I'm getting so excited. Yeah, Reform's gonna win. No, it's a local election. It's local. It's a local election. Do you understand? So that means that it's for the area. So you have to understand, they're not actually going to.
So I hate Reform so much. It makes me sick physically. I gotta get this because of the music. We gotta go to the next one. To all those who voted Reform yesterday, and she's gonna pretend to sing some song. Here's another one.
A reform of one. That's us GAYs going to prison and having everything taken away.
Yeah,
But Nigel Farage is some of the things he's taken away from the LGBT community, scrapping equality act.
It's funny, like half of 1% of the population is supposed to control the other population. You know what? Sorry.
So as soon as we find out who you are, trust you will be dealt with. Period.
So I had an uncle today say that he voted reform because there's too many people entering the country. Uncle, you wouldn't be in the country if we were under a reform government to begin with. What? And you know what's more crazy? You are denying people of resources that you have access to because there's too many people coming in. Do you know that?
My ethnicity is British, Essex, and I'm white.
What do you mean reform have one in my area? I almost wish we could hear this
officially cooked. The UK is cooked.
It's been cooked, bro.
Reform is winning. This country's a joke. You know what? I might go pack my bags and now I'll be
winning because it's a joke.
Find my suitcase.
These are some things that I don't think you should be allowed to do if you vote reform. Get Indian food, get Chinese food, get any food that's not British food.
They always reduce it to that argument. It's such a lame argument, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's a lame argument. You can't get Indian
The
food.
reform isn't saying get rid of all people that have immigrated. It's this mass number of immigration that's come over, mostly of it illegal, most of it illegal at the behest of government officials. They brought massive quantities of people over, and it upsets the whole country. So then again, they're not there participating in infrastructural development or economic development. They're there specifically living off the teat of government, and they're there specifically gaining all of these rewards that the government's paying for. So that's the upset. So these people are, it's all plotted and planned, just like it is here. As soon as there's a loss on their side, all the usual suspects come out of the woodworks, start posting their videos of console, and again they're trying to reestablish their base, saying, hey, don't worry, yes, everything's gonna be horrible. So now they're trying to reestablish their base to fight back again. But notice that they're all wackos. Like every single one of them is bizarre. None of them are somehow in any shape or form in a normal state of mind. But this is their populace. But again, it's amazing too, because their leftist ideology parties are run by a minority of their people.
Right.
And they're allowing the minority of their party to dictate the entire direction of their party. So let's say in the US, you have 48% of the population is registered as a Democrat, let's say. Maybe 5% or 10% are the ones leading the narrative for that whole massive number. And that's why you get like a John Fetterman that's like, this is crazy,
right.
And he's still somehow saying he's a Democrat. He goes, what happened to my party? My party doesn't. Well, you're no longer part of that party. But the thing is, it's still a minority, but the majority is allowing them to be led around, by the neck. And it's same thing in the UK. And the UK is what's the total population of the UK? Was it like 50 million?
58 million, 58, 59 million.
It's so easy to upset. As soon as you get to like 10% of the population, as bringing in mass numbers of illegal immigration from third world, it already begins to upset the country. You get to 20%, you're done.
Yeah.
Just like Canada.
Take that
Canada's
comment, Jeff.
Which one here? The cute Muslim girl in the UK saying people are uneducated for voting for reform when she herself wouldn't be allowed to show her hands in public from a whole land, and she'd be pregnant at 12. Exactly. If your country and your cultural backgrounds are so great, then why did you flee to the UK? And the question is, did they actually flee to the UK, or are they the first kind of the front guard that comes in, from a force, a conquest force? So you really have to consider that. How did they leave? Number one, did they leave because they escaped somehow, or are they coming in as part of that front conquest force? And you really have to consider that, because a lot of times they can't leave. They're not allowed to just go out in mass like this, and yet they're here, and they have a lot of money, lots and lots of money that allows them to do what they do. You can't build mosques without money. You can't, do the community efforts without money. Where's the money coming from? And then you start tracing all the money back to countries like Qatar and elsewhere, and then you realize the significance of it. In the UK has the same issue, and yet the leftist government in the UK, leftist government in the US, leftist government in Germany, leftist government in Italy, leftist government in Spain, they're all following the exact same narrative. All of them doing the same thing.
Here's a great comment. Whirlwind says, I learned amazing life lessons when growing up in the 80s in Nowhere, Ontario. They were Chinese and East Indian. One was like a mother to me and opened my mind to new things and seeing different ways of thinking. People coming to our country isn't the issue. It's a blessing. Doing it right matters. Yeah, I'm always labeled as a racist, and I'm married to somebody from a different race, Jeff. It's like my wife is from South America, and it's like, my wife came here illegally. And, it's funny because the Hispanic community, especially in South Florida, you want to talk about the biggest people, they came here legally. They went through tens of thousands of dollars to come over here. They're on a waiting list. And somebody walks across the border and is given food, clothing, shelter. Meanwhile, these are Christian people. They're hard workers, and they want to contribute to society. They want to become part of something, part of the United States. And it's Whirlwind's 100% right. This is exactly what it is. I mean, it's not about and I had to correct people like, oh, you're against immigration. No. Let's quantify that. I'm against illegal immigration. There was a great story. I'm sure it's very limited in scope of what usually happens. There was a father, had two young children. I think they were like, 10 and 12 or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but he had two kids and he was here illegally. His kids were born here, so obviously they're fine, but he was very worried about getting deported and choosing to having to take his kids with and never give them the opportunity to live in the United States. He made a choice to self-deport. He put them in care with some relatives, and he said, I'm going to apply because I need to come in because I can't deprive my kids of not having great opportunities. He applied. He talked about his thing. Because he self-deported, 2 weeks later, he was back in the United States legally with the process already started because, somebody saw, knew what his system was, and he got back 2 weeks later. Now, is that normal? Probably not, but he knew enough that if he was deported, he would be lifetime banned, wouldn't be able to raise his kids in the United States. And again, what country do you know of, Jeff, that allows you to self-deport and reapply to come back in legally? There's no country. There's no country that allows that. This video right here was pretty awesome as well. It's obviously an AI type of video, but this is, if you've seen these Amelia videos, congratulatory, but look at this.
I'm Amelia. I'm a big fan of Restore UK, but today I need to congratulate Nigel Farage on Reform's cracking results. Smashing performance, Nigel. Britain has a real chance now. But what's to be done with Keir Starmer, the worst Prime Minister in the history of Great Britain? You're about to see.
For those listening to the podcast, he's dressed like he's got a blonde wig on. He looks like a schoolgirl, and she walks up behind him. Yeah, he looks like a schoolgirl. He's got the uniform on, and she carts. Yes,
we're dressing him up as a British schoolgirl, then dropping him off in Birmingham.
Oh no! Oh no! Rape culture. Throws him out of the car. Uh-oh! Look at that. He's getting some attention.
Pretty girl, show Bob. Hey, show Bob. Bob, you come with us. Show Bob.
Uh-oh.
Serves you right, you wanker.
She dropped him off the rape gang in Birmingham. You gotta love that, Jeff. You got to love that. It's fantastic, man.
See stuff.
I can't play the audio on this, Jeff, but this is the a Democrat in Tennessee.
What did I just watch?
This is, wait till you see this. So anyway, I can't play the audio in this. But this actually happened in the state house here, Democrat. Here she is dancing up, lifting her skirt up, twerking.
For real?
For real.
That's not AI?
No, Tennessee State House.
What?
Yeah. Nut job. Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't.
Yeah, look it up, Jeff. I'm like, what is going on, man? You know. So the B asked a very important question. Asked AI to simulate what would happen and what would it be like in the U.S. if there were no Republicans. And so here we go.
It ends up, when you do communism right, it works perfectly and everyone loves it.
And it only took 200 million starving to get here.
That's less than half as many as we thought.
There has been another terrorist attack with 33 dead. The American government has decided not to do anything about it since we probably deserved it.
It sure is great that abortion is now free and available for
She's got an Eat the Rich shirt on and talking to another red, blue-haired, overweight woman.
everyone everywhere.
Yeah, but it's too bad that there aren't any babies to abort since we outlawed being a heterosexual.
Murdering those families was wrong, but you're an immigrant and you probably just didn't know any better. Plus, we shut down all prisons. You're free to go.
This is wrong! You need to lock him up!
How dare you question our compassion? Execute that man immediately!
I found more letters we need to add to the acronym.
It's already so...
This is funny. Now, what's in the background? A giant stone letters, LGBTQIP 2SAAAABBB.
large, it's throwing off the rotation of the Earth. If we add any more letters, we'll die.
Then we die! Everyone just stay in line and walk through the scanner. It's going to check how dark your skin is to see how many benefits you get. If I were you, I wouldn't bother.
The U.S. has run
An albino. He said albino, I wouldn't bother.
out of money.
Can't we just murder more billionaires and confiscate their wealth?
There are no more left. I'm afraid someone in our country is actually going to have to get a job and work.
Bernie. The bee never misses, man. The bee never misses. And that's all we have. A long show, 2 hours. We just hit the 2 hour mark, Jeff. I don't know if we've done a 2 hour show in a long time. But there it is. 2 hours, people. We hit it. We'll be back tomorrow night, guys. 2 hour banger. 2 hours and 1 minute now. How about that? My eyes, no.
There you are.
Yeah, I would like to play Pratt's Joker ad. Well, maybe we'll play that tomorrow night. There's been a great string of there's so much great stuff from that debate. Spencer Pratt crushed it, man.
Oh yeah, we got to find that one.
Freaking good. So
World win. Great job. Had fun.
thank you guys for showing
What
up.
we strive for. Want everyone to have fun on the show.
Yeah, I'm trying to fleece you of your money because we're making all this money off of views, Jeff. We're crushing it.
We're crushing it.
And also, I wanted to.
You boys are delusional. You boys are delusional.
I wanted to thank El Jefe for that $100 banger. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you a lot, man. And that's all the time we have, Jeff. Anything before we get out of here?
I think that's all we got, except for this right here.
I only drink badassery coffee.
Smart man, right there. When I see smart people, badassery. We got to work on the badassery.
The badassery got to fine tune.
I think you got to say bad.
Badassery.
Bad
Yeah.
first. Bad. Badassery.
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 Well, we got to tell them how to pronounce it properly.
Yeah, you got to do the bad and then maybe hyphen it, or
then we'll reshoot it.
Yeah, reshoot it. Rerun the prompt in AI. That's how it gets done. That's how all the good stuff gets done. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. 2 hours, 2 minutes.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
38 seconds. See you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff. Oh.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.